Ahn'haket, the Old Kingdom. Like any dungeons for Wrath of the Lich King, our adventure is going to start at the Borean Tundra Zeppelin Master. The Old Kingdom is the second dungeon, located within Ahn'haket. It was controlled by Nerubians until recently. An earthquake pushed Ahn'haket closer to the surface, exposing the Nerubian kingdom to attacks from the Scourge. Now remnants of the old Nerubian Empire, minions of the Lich King, and servants of the old gods fight for control in the underground galleries of the Old Kingdom. This Lich King dungeon is designed for players between levels 15 and 30. If you have Chromie time enabled, that does increase the level range from 15 to 50. But you can only be queued if you're using Chromie time on the Wrath of the Lich King expansion. So I'm going to take you through, introduce each boss, and I would like to give a shout out to Wowhead, the ultimate authority for all things WoW Dungeon. Most of the content is going to come from their website. And on my website, I will link to their article. I remember doing this dungeon 10 years ago. It was interesting to start exploring in Dragonblight. And when we fly there, you'll see how it is this like underground cave system where the dungeons are. And it was very beautiful, very artistic for a World of Warcraft game. Today we are using Galadrin. She's my level 50 Demon Hunter. Demon Hunters are fun for doing old run-throughs because they have double jump as well as I can't remember what it's called. The ability that lets you Infernal Strike. There we go. Infernal Strike. I haven't searched around on the ships for quite a while. It looks like this one is just the top deck. You want to be mounted when you leave Orgrimmar so that you can jump off the Zeppelin once we get to Borean Tundra. One sec. I gotta plug in my headphones. I always forget to turn them back on or off. And so my battery is always dead. So there are 5 bosses in this dungeon. 4 on normal mode, 1 on heroic. Dragonblight is right here. So you want to just set your flight path to end up in this area. If we look at our Dragonblight map, this is where both the dungeons are. Elder Naddox was once a venerated Nerubian leader who taught the ancient ways of his race to generations of broods. When the War of the Spider ravaged Nerub, he was overcome by legions of undead. He diseases players, inflicting nature damage, and then also enrages any nearby swarmers, which drastically increases their damage. Obviously, at level 50, we're not here to illustrate the challenge perspective, but it is good to know what you're getting into especially when you're going through these dungeons as you're leveling. I don't think he drops any special loot. He does have a beautiful model, though. I spent a ridiculous amount of time in Wrath of the Lich King. So I've been to Borean Tundra hundreds of times. I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of the boss descriptions from Wowhead. Oh, I'm glad to have a viewer. Thanks for welcome to the stream. This is the start of my dungeon series. The second boss in Ahn'haket is Prince Tal'Daram. After Kael'thas failed assault against the Lich King, some of his greatest Blood Elf followers were slaughtered and raised into Unteth as Dark Fallen. Prince Tal'Daram is one of these cunning and bloodthirsty vampiric beings. Always seeking to please the Lich King, he has entered the war-torn depths of Ahn'haket in search of long-lost Nerubian relics that can empower the Scourge's murderous ranks. I'm gonna read myself right into missing where we're going. So it's in this pit. You see those caves? You want to navigate into these caves. This is how you gain entrance to the instances. That's Azul Nerub. Cross our fingers that I can find the entrance to Ahn'haket. So double jump. This is one of the abilities that makes Demon Hunters great for old content run-throughs. Check my instant lock. We're on heroic. The first time you come in here, you will have these quests. I'm not gonna do them right now because that's not my focus, but this will be great for your early run-throughs. The primary mobs in here are all Nerubians. Temple grounds are constructed kind of in this huge cavern. Has sort of a temple complex. You want to make sure when you're running this at a more appropriate level, you only grab about 2 groups of each of these mobs, or they get overwhelming really quickly. Especially in places like this, it's instant death to grab all 3 mobs at once. There's Elder Ahn'haket, the first boss. Hiya! You start getting into the undead in the dungeon after you break through the beginning of the temple grounds. You only want to take these 2 bone grinders together if you're feeling really overachieving. Nice. Can't remember if you're supposed to clear certain of the trash. There we go. This is why we do dungeon overviews. Tell people the things that we all forget. You gotta clear each of these different platforms in order to get the prince to appear. Let's make sure I click the ancient Rubian device. There he is. It does take a little fun out of it to instantly kill all the bosses. I apologize. I didn't know that they'd upgraded them to epics too. Now you want to crawl in the sewer? This will take you to our next boss. Jadoga, Shadow Seeker. This is where it takes a turn for the worse. Rather than facing direct undeads, you start to face Twilight and Aberration opponents. You do want to make sure and clear a whole side of ads when you come up here to get the boss. Jadoga dreams of apocalypse. She is rumored to be one of the most fanatical adherents of the Twilight's hammer. Under the guidance of the ruthless ogre, Mage Cho'Gall, she learned to twist her shamanic power to serve the old gods. Not long ago, Jadoga journeyed into the bowels of Ahn'haket to prepare for the glorious day when Yogg-Saron will arise and envelope the world of Azeroth in shadow. Let's kill all these initiates. Where'd you go? I have been chosen. Okay. Also doesn't drop any special loot. The last boss. In Heroic, you get the opportunity to fight Manitar. The last boss of the normal mode Heroic is Herald Village. After killing Jadoga, you want to come over here. This is on the right side of the room after you kill Jadoga. A Manitar, he has some unique abilities. He'll shrink you and then also cast Entangling Roots. You also want to make sure and keep track of which of his different mushrooms you have to gather or destroy. Some of them, there we go, some of them are poisonous. So if you run over them, they will poison you. He also has healing mushrooms if your healer's struggling to keep everybody up. Herald Village is on the other side of the Sunken Temple area, the Fallen Temple area. You can see why cool. Sometimes with a Demon Hunter you can do stuff that didn't anticipate for these classes to do in the old content. This fight is actually pretty difficult when level appropriate. You'll want to make sure that your healer is prepped for the Shadow Bolt Volleys, and then the Insanity mechanic, where he drives all players insane, causing them to hallucinate twisted visages of each of their allies. You're trapped alone in Insanity until you kill all the twisted visages. So the healer and the tank, they'll need to independently kill the different visages. Let's see if I can not kill him fast enough that we get to the Insanity. Hold on. I tried. It's nice to get a bunch of achievements when you take characters further on their first times. This is the dungeon exit. See your exit? This is the quest mob at the beginning of the dungeon. We're gonna take time to go loot this corpse. Waste not, want not. This will pop you back out at the front before you can go into Ahn'haket. There we are, back in the pit of Narjun. I'm doing each of these series as independently, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream so that I can start the next one, where I'll cover Ahn'haket, the next dungeon. Hang tight for just a sec. Be right back.